How the heck are everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 80 in our grind for glory. All right, you can see we've got some summoning stuff here. I was sitting down to make a video about this, but you know what? Let's do that tomorrow. A lot of other people, check out Ivy Lee's video. It's really good if you want to hear about this. I'll put out content about this tomorrow. I'm also going to test out Kriya, so look forward to seeing that tomorrow. I want to talk about something else. Day 80, something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I think it's about time we talk about the late game. So, as I see it, you guys let me know. Get in the comments, please. Let's talk about this. Let me know what you define as the late game. But as I see it, there are 4 forms of game, or 4 stages in these long form RPG, mobile, open world, communicate with the whole world kind of games, right? You have the early game, you have the mid game, you have the late game, and you have the end game. I think we can all agree on that. I guess the definitions will vary in terms of when they begin. So I would say, speaking of Watcher of Realms, the early game is very much from you just started playing till when you clear, maybe you're getting your first red gear. Let's call it that, right? I think that's pretty fair. So for Gear Raid 1, that'd be stage 13, and then for 2 and 3, I believe that is stage 10. Yes, there you go. I would say once you're getting your first mythic gear, your first red gear, now you can say, you know what? Maybe this is the mid game. However, I view the mid game as a very big thing. The mid game has the early mid game, the mid game, the late mid game, but let's dumb it down here. I think it's from that point until you are farming stage 19 gear at dungeons, and of course, stage 18, the artifact material raid. I think that's the most simple way to put it. You could say when it's 18s, I don't agree. I don't think that's late game at all now that I'm actually there. The jump in difficulty from 18 to 19 is enormous in all of these, except for maybe Gear Raid 2. I mean, I'm saying that, and I spent 10 hours streaming Gear Raid 2 content for specifically stage 19 over like 2 weeks. So maybe the jump is very difficult there as well. But then you're in this long late game grind, and that's where most of us live for probably the vast majority, or maybe even almost our entire tenure playing these games. It's not that hard to get towards the late part, but it's not the end, because what is the end? Let's define the actual final stage. The end is when you've reached the end. So what's fun about these games, and I think what's attractive to a lot of people, is the end is ever evolving, because you could be at the point where you're at Gear Raid 321, 221, 121, all those great things. You know, you're a Nightmare 4 in the Guild Boss, doing far better than I do. I think my best run right now is like, where am I? 11.5K. I'm hoping to hit 12K today. But you know, you might be getting that 50K chest. Power to you, that is fantastic. I would call that solidly endgame. Throw 1 key there, get reward number 5. Throw 1 key here on Nightmare 3, get reward number 5. That's the end game, right? You've reached the end game. What else is there left to do? Push some faction trial? Let's be honest, if you've done all that, I would be shocked if you could not push faction trial. Maybe there's 1 or 2 factions, but at that point you're in the end game. However, the late game, the progression to, you know, all right, I beat all my 18s, I beat all my 19s, which is very much where I am at. Which is why I think I can speak to the discussion on late game, and I promise this is going somewhere, guys, because I want to talk about how you should approach it. Probably should have led off with that. But the amount of time you're going to spend here is immense. It really is immense. So I think people need to approach it the right way, especially with a game like Watcher of Realms. Because, guys, you are going to reach Gear Raid 119 or 219, and then probably soon after 319. It all depends on your account, but you're going to reach it pretty quick. I mean, this is all relative, but compared to how long you're gonna be stuck there, it's gonna be pretty quick. That's what I'm trying to say. If you grind super hard like me, you'll do it in 2 months, right? Maybe you'll do it faster, especially if you're spending a little cash, right? I know people that did it even free to play. Just Icy, with some luck and some tremendous skill, he did it. I think he's like already looking at 220, 320, and he's on day 45 or 50 free to play. A lot of things went into that, but it's you get there pretty quick. That's what I'm trying to say. But the amount of time, save for crazy pulls, that you are going to spend just trying to get from 19 to 20 and then just trying to get from 20 to 21 is a while. So I think you need to have the right mentality. So let's get on with the video and let's actually talk about that. What is that mentality? Well, when it comes to the game Watcher of Realms, which is the game I play and the game you probably play if you're watching this video, the late game is going to be a little frustrating, because what I'm going to tell you is not what you want to hear, but it is very much what I really think you should do. Look how few diamonds I have. Do you know why that is? because I'm trying to keep this stockpile over 50 at all times, and I'm farming constantly. So every time I'm getting a diamond, I'm trying to leave it between like 300 and 400 diamonds. I'm reinvesting it into huge stamina potions just to keep myself honest, because I know better. And I'm hoping that you guys, by watching this video, or maybe you already do, but you will begin to know better, okay? Summons are great. This is a very fun game. This game is very different than Raid Shadow Legends. Let's be honest, a lot of us played that game, because in Raid Shadow Legends, you should not be ever spending your gems on summons. That is a crazy thing to do if you're free to play or low spender. You should never be going into the diamond shop there. Here, you just have to buy the individual things, and you can summon straight with your diamonds from the portal. But in Raid, and you go there, and what is it, 900 gems for 11 summons, I believe? God, it's been a while. But that's insane. In this game, it's not insane. It really isn't, and that's exciting to people. You start, and you're gonna hear content creators like me, or like MobBucket, or like Ivy, or anyone else, and they're gonna say, when you first start, summon a lot. You have to. Don't spend your things on stamina on this, and this, because this is a tower defense game. There are classes. You need specific roles filled, and until those roles are filled, you probably have to do a lot of summoning. And that was very cool for me as a free-to-play player to say, I get to just summon. It's like my first 2 weeks, I'm just like summoning. That's a lot of fun. And then we kind of get used to that feeling. And I don't know if it's by design or not, and I'm not even judging them, because it is a lot of fun to summon at the beginning. But then people are used to, I'm used to now, I summon every weekend. When I played Raid Shadow Legends, I played it aggressively, strictly. I mean, I played the game for like 3.5 years, but for my free-to-play account, especially for that first year that I was filming it, I played it like balls to the wall, as strict and efficient as I possibly could. The idea of ever spending gems, I keep diamonds, gems, it's all, they're all the red little shiny things, spending those on summons was unthinkable. The idea of summoning every weekend was unthinkable. You know, you're saving for, maybe I do every other weekend, maybe I'd save for 4 weeks for my blues, maybe once a month for golds, you know, maybe once every 2 months for voids, something like that. In this game, you're summoning every weekend. You guys saw, I did a lot of summons this past weekend, probably less than I've done the past few weekends, because I used a ton of diamonds on, as I said, stamina. However, I did 120 something blue summons, and then my ancients, but that's a separate story. I'm already up to 34. It's Wednesday, guys. I pulled on Saturday. It's Wednesday. I already have 34 summons. They throw them at you guys. They really do. And then you get here, you start summoning, and then you start bleeding into your diamonds. Let's get to the thesis here. When you reach the late game, your diamonds must be spent, I would say at least 90%, unless you're spending a lot or you're a lucky content creator that's getting them all the time in your mail, or it should be all the time, but they're delayed by months and months at a time. But that is such a first world problem. I would never complain about it, even though I'm complaining about it right now. But if you're a normal, you should be spending, I'll be generous here. Let's say 80% of your diamonds should go into stamina. Hard stop. If you want to be really responsible, and I'm going to try to live by this, we'll see, because I do get tempted and seduced when something pops up in my mail. You see, it's not there now, but I'm going to be getting my September rewards soon, and it's going to be 30,000 diamonds, and I'll pull, right? But I'm going to try to live by this as properly as I can and balance that with content. But I'm telling you guys, I will try to practice what I preach, and I hope you guys practice what I preach on this. Once you've reached this late game, guys, and I will articulate some couple suggestions here, exceptions, excuse me. All you need is better gear. I've done so many takeovers. I think I just finished my 40th takeover this morning for this game. I think that gives me a really unique perspective. I'd be shocked if at least anyone on Global, if anyone has done that many takeovers and has had that much insight into different accounts. And the one thing I learned over and over and over again is once you reach those late game stages, it is not about the heroes. You can think, okay, wow, 320, right? Everyone loves Gear 8-3. It's the best gear in the game, right? 320, if I just had Hatsit, if I just had Arrogance, you know, who are some other crazies. If I got Cetrum, maybe I could nuke down the boss, so on and so on, right? If I just got a Racha as a Lord, then it'd be so easy. While those things may be true, time and time and time again in my takeovers, the only thing that is the differentiator, the only thing that proves to be the deciding factor, granted, assuming they have some of the proper champions, is always the gear. Because when you reach these stages, it is a hard gear check. And it's not what you want to hear, guys. You don't want to hear that you have to do thousands and thousands and thousands of stamina a week into gear raids, but that is it. People are complaining in the comments of my videos I would describe it as constantly that the RNG in this game is rigged and so on and so on. And while I've gone out of my way to prove that some forms of the presentation of the RNG in this game are rigged, I will tell you, at least anecdotally, nothing about the 10Xs in this game or the 2Xs in this game are rigged at all. I've personally pulled, so for myself, let's just show you, I've pulled, what is it? 1,650 summons, that's a lot. I'm well over 10,000, including viewer summons. Well over 10,000. Granted, it's anecdotal, but from everything I've looked at, this, that, and the other, the 10Xs are real. They are always popping up. The 10Xs champions are always popping up. I'm sorry if you got a bunch of Ardith instead of Maul and Dolores, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. It is RNG. We are absolutely hammering down on the handle of a slot machine, guys. You know what you can control? Where you put your stamina. And I'm telling you, and where you put your diamonds, to take it one step further. And I'm telling you, once you've cleared 19s, I would be shocked, except for a couple circumstances, and I will get into that. We're going to talk about Pyros pretty soon, but I would be shocked if the reason you could not beat 320 or really 120, because this is something that's been coming up a lot lately, is because you don't have Virna. Would Virna help so much? Would she make it so much easier? Lasir, would he help so much? Actually, Lasir, that might be an exception, but yes. However, you know, is not having Comet the reason you can't do it? Look at that, Lasir Virna Comet, I didn't even see that. It definitely would help, but if you had just cracked out Soulbound Arcana gear, you guys would be absolutely slapping. Let me talk about exceptions. If you didn't have any of these three, you don't stand a chance in hell, and that's where this game differs than other games, right? We'll see how Kriya performs, but from what I've seen so far, there's no way. So that is something. And I know I'm really going off the cuff here, and I'm not going to edit one single frame of this. I'm just going to let it run. We're monologuing, baby. Let's check in on the time. Let's see. Oh, we're good. I'm only at 12 minutes. Come on. Let's buckle in. You got to change your perspective. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying people are complaining, but I am saying people are complaining all the time to me. Constantly people are complaining to me. And I don't want to do like a whole mad thing and say get good, because it's not get good. It's get a change in perspective. And that change in perspective is the fun's over. The party's over. If you want to reach this end game and you don't want to spend a lot of money, or you don't want to become a content creator like Mobbucket and get 50,000 diamonds a month, you know, he earns that, right? But if you don't want to do that craziness, if you don't want to do this crazy stuff you see me doing with 2 videos a day, and you don't want to open up that credit card and cha-ching, you gotta just grind gear, guys. You just gotta. That's what you gotta do. That's what you got to do. That is the late game in this game. This game has some of the hardest DPS checks of any gacha I've ever seen, because of the way their damage calculations work, where there's this initial the initial part of the formula is attack minus defense, basically providing a wall of defense that you have to climb higher with your attack stats. If you didn't know that, that's how it works, at least for attack-based healers. TBD on defense and HP, still figuring all that out. My guess is they probably just take your HP, convert it into some parallel attack stat, and put it into the same formula, because that really wouldn't surprise me with this game. But you just have to clear the walls. It's like doesn't matter how beautiful a hurdler is in a track race, right? If he or she or they are not strong enough, are not bouncy enough, are not tall enough to get over those hurdles that they're hurdling, they won't hurdle the hurdles. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay, let's get to the end. The point I'm trying to make is, welcome to the late game. What is the late game and what am I doing? The late game is time to buckle down and get better gear. So you guys have heard me talk about it in the past few videos. I only had 5 ancient mythic pieces on my account heading into this past week, the start of the Aeon Fusion. I am now up to, I believe, 13 or 14. I'll just click through so you guys can see, and keep in mind 2 of these pieces are being worn by Sealatu right now. I got my first ancient weapon here. This is where you need ancient gear. If you want to look, hit up your friends or hit up people. Come to my Discord, Lucifer. Shout out to Lucifer. I'm sure he would happily share what his account looks like. Has he spent some money? Yes. Does he constantly farm gear raids, so he basically has straight up amazing ancient mythic gear on most of his heroes? Absolutely. Honestly, same thing goes for like a Murder Inc. Let's give a shout out to him. These guys spend a ton of money. They come into the game, they spend a ton of money, and they get tons of resources very quickly. However, they know what to do with them, and they apply them. So it might be frustrating to some that these people show up and they're absolute monsters. However, they're monsters not just because of credit cards. They are monsters because they're very, very good at these games. They know what they're doing, and they're willing to just run literally thousands of stamina worth of battles a day into gear raids, because that's what it's all about. It's all about gearing, and it's all about, that's the differentiator. Because eventually, guys, granted the hero pool is growing, but eventually, guys, gear will be the ultimate differentiator. That is the common denominator. And what I really love about this game, and now let's end on a very happy note. I don't know what this video is going to be like, but I think a very happy note. This game is nothing like Raid in the best way. And what do I mean by that? In one specific way, it is so much better than Raid. And that is because you can actually get endgame gear. You could be 100% free to play. If you're willing to grind, you can have endgame gear, because over time, you will get endgame gear. So let me show you what I mean. Let's call this maybe not endgame, but this is a good late game piece, right? I got this like 2 weeks into the game, or maybe not 2 weeks. Let's call it a month into the game, right? I'm just trying to find a quick example of a piece I know is pretty good. This is not probably not a proper late game piece, proper end game piece, but it is a proper late game piece, and it works for me, right? A lot of things that you could change about it. This could be crit damage. This could be rage regen. This could be this could be flat attack. These could all be orange. These could all be gold, of course. But you can really quickly start to stockpile up endgame pieces, especially once you start applying a change in mentality that leads you to get better stuff. You know, I'm getting there just from 1 week of hard farming, you know? But in Raid, you get an amazing piece. You go, all right, do I put it on Shrunda? Or do I put it on Mashald, or I put it on him or her, or this one or that one? And basically it's gonna stay there. Unless you have endless silver, you're not gonna be paying to move your gear around all the time. In this game, it is completely free to move your gear around. And you will never have more than 8 heroes deployed at once. You'll never have more than 10 heroes in a team. So think about the different combinations between classes and the gear different heroes for different classes need, and the stats that were required, and this, and this. You can really start to quickly imagine how here I am, having not even played for 3 months, I'm slowly starting to get a couple decent pieces of gear. I mean, I've got a proper, solid Soulbound Arcana set on my Arrogance. It's not perfect, but this is not even 3 months in. Imagine what all this stuff is gonna start to look like after 9 months or 10 months. So that's what's really exciting about this game. If you're in it for the long haul, you do not need 60 pieces, 60 sets of 6 pieces like you do in Raid, plus accessories, 9 pieces to make it a proper endgame build. There are 5 pieces you need for 1 set for a hero, right? 5 pieces of gear, and probably with like 12 to 15, you can mix and match and have near perfect builds for your heroes for the vast majority of content. And that is something attainable. Maybe it will take more than a year, maybe it will take 2 years, but if you're in it for the long haul, eventually, and you guys can check back in on this silly video I'm making now, check back in on 6 months if you stuck with the game and you kept grinding every day, or in 2 years, and look at my heroes and then look at your heroes and look how much they've improved. You know, it's not going to be just 2 decent pieces of ancient mythic gear. It is going to be 5 very good pieces of ancient mythic gear on all your top heroes, and then you're going to be able to take them off and put them on whomever else you want. So that's why I'm saying something like Faction Trials, all you got to do is clear it once, you get Power of Dominance, so take it off your best heroes. I'll take it off my Zeal 2, take it off my Comet, take it off my Arrogance, then let's say it's Cultist, I throw it on my Morgan, throw it on my Zealous, throw it on my Seal, bang, bang, boom, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Over time you get the heroes, and now the only thing you can really control right now is clamping down, hunkering down, and getting that good gear. Boy, this went in a direction, absolutely. I will talk about, there are a couple exceptions, right? Mawbucket said it very well in a video I've linked to a couple times, where he goes on like a very polite rant from March of 2022. And he talks about how he's really good at the game. I mean, he doesn't say it like that, but we all know he's really good at the game. And he was having so much trouble getting to 20,000 blood in the guild boss, right, for Nightmare 4. And then the second he was like at 16, 17, the second he got Pyros, he was like over 25k. And there are a lot of things in this game that are kind of like that. You know, we can circle back to Virna. I'd be very interested in, if someone has done it, please share it with me, because I'd be curious how they did it. I think it'd be really hard. I'll just tell you, I think it'd be impossible, and I'd love to be proven wrong, to beat 121, at least with the heroes we have in the game right now, without Virna and without Lasir. I do think that's like impossible. There are things like that exist in the game, and that is something I have issue with, because I really think there should always be another solution, even if it's super duper hard and you need the best gear in the world. At least that solution should exist. And I don't really think Comet plus Zealous and a maxed out signature artifact, and I don't know who else you're going to throw in there, Iona, and maybe you even have Venoma and this, and that's still turning into a crazy team. I still don't see that team doing 121. I'm going on a little 121 tangent right now, but that is a thing. So there might be moments like, let's say you are hard stuck at 121 and you have the awesome gear and you have Virna and maybe you have Comet, maybe you have Venoma, maybe you have Morrigan, and you just have all this juice, and you just can't do it without Lasir, and then they throw up another 10x for Lasir. If you want to forego several thousand diamonds to do that, 100%, I think you should do that. But at that point, I feel like I would almost consider that the end game, because you're no longer restricted by anything you can control. You're only restricted by what the slot machine's giving you. So I guess that's how I want to wrap it up. In the end, it's not as fun as pulling, but you need better gear. We all need better gear. And I'm not saying this to point fingers at anyone. If anyone should have their fingers pointed at, it should be me, because my gear kind of stinks compared to how aggressively I play this game. But I'm a sucker for summons, and I'm a sucker for content. And what a perfect combination for content and summons is summoning content. All right, let's just wrap it up there. Let me know if this video was hinged or unhinged. Welcome to the late game for those of you arriving. Hopefully I didn't scare anyone off who's still on their way there. But once you're solidly entrenched, once you have a roster that looks like a pretty solid roster. I mean, you guys probably have seen thousands of rosters better than mine. However, this roster has basically all the pieces I need right now to push 120. I'm very confident in that. Push 220, push 320. I'm very sure I can get 20K as well in Nightmare 3. The only thing I think I'm hero restricted on right now is Pyros. So Ancient Summons will be something I'm very interested in. Now I'm just talking from my own personal perspective. If they ever do a 10x on Pyros, or let's be honest, I can just be patient, and probably within the next 3 to 4 months, you would assume, I would presume, I expect they will do a shard summoning event like they're doing for Aeon right now for Pyros, because the only two that remain are Raiden and Pyros. They'll probably have to do all of them eventually. Everyone else we got for free or has already had an event. So I might just have to be patient. Granted, then maybe once I max out all those 20s and my gear is really shining in a couple months, and maybe I'm still not at 21s, then I might have to say, you know what? Boy, could I use a Racha for 321 or a Hatsit, or boy, when is Alora coming? I mean, people are asking that all the time, right? Or is there a 10x on Virna? She might be the final piece for my 121. Something like this, something like this, something like this. I guess this was like not a vent, maybe not even a rant, but just a long-winded way of saying the fun's over for a lot of us. Maybe I'm just talking to myself right now, but I do think the fun's kind of over. I pulled 330 times on the Hex Lasir banner. I don't see myself doing anything like that again, unless the content creator rewards start coming on time. But I mean, we're almost in November and the September rewards haven't come, so I'm not gonna get my hopes up. I think for me, it is all about stockpile, stockpile, stockpile. Let me know if you guys agree. And I do want to just finally articulate that caveat that you could easily reach a point in some content that even with perfect gear, you can't do it because you're missing X or Y hero. And I do respect that. And that is probably an issue we have with this game. All in all, I love the game, guys. I love you guys for watching. Like the video, comment, mother, share, that whole thing. I've been Fastidious. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.